So last week my parents were here, and after church we went to DePaul to eat, and as we were enjoying our quiet, calm meal, that was a joke. That was appropriate to laugh there. We haven't had a quiet meal. Well, we had a quiet meal last night because Susie had the voice. But we were enjoying our quiet meal, and we started talking about church. And my parents are parents, so they were going on and on about how proud they were of me. And they just couldn't believe that I'm a pastor. Anyway, then they started talking about how lucky we are to be part of this church. And how they can just feel the friendliness and the togetherness and the sense of community every time they come here. And I completely agree. Last week I tried to explain how important this place is to me. How you all do more for me than I could ever do for you. How I learned much more from you than I could ever possibly teach. And there are so many examples of true Christian living right here in this small country church in Reelsville, Indiana. And when we talk about this gets my mom talking about people in my hometown church. And they are still active members, and she still loves to tell me about everyone that's there, whether I remember them or not. And usually I only remember half the people that she talks about, but it's not my fault. She often talks about the new people, and by new I mean people who started coming about 20 years ago. And a lot of older people from my youth, when I was their age, a lot of those people have since passed away. And anyway, I told her how I used one man, Dale German, who recently passed away. I used him in a sermon. I used him as an example when I was talking about judging. And if you remember, I explained how he was the kind of guy who really just kind of walked the walk. And I mentioned how it was really too bad. I mentioned how it was too bad that he had passed away, and I bet he would have been, surprised or pleased that I used him in a sermon after all these years. And then my mom informed me that he wasn't dead. Oops. Of course, I accused her of giving me false information. And of course she denied it. And I looked at my dad and he just shrugged his shoulders. So I don't know where I got that from, but you lied. I told her that if she does share it with him, that she needs to, if she shares with him that I used him in the sermon, she needs to leave out the part where I said that he was dead. But I made a mistake. But the point remains true. We all have people living in our lives who have had a great influence, a great impact on us as we move along in our own faith journeys. And today we celebrate All Saints Sunday. And All Saints Sunday or All Saints Day was actually November 1st, but most Protestants move it to this Sunday. And it's not one of the major holidays for Protestants. We tend to think of it more as like a Catholic holiday. But there is a beauty in All Saints Day. Today we remember not only the old saints who supposedly did things like drive all the snakes out of Ireland or bless the animals, but we also have come to know our own saints. And those are who we remember. And we miss them. And our faith believes that when we die, we too join the communion of saints. And we hear it in things like the Apostles' Creed. And we don't earn a place in heaven by our perfect lives. We don't earn a place in heaven by our great acts. We will find ourselves there because of God's grace that He has given to us. And today we are remembering people who truly do saint-like things that change the lives of people around them. They become the people who show us God's love, who show us God's grace, God's goodness. They inspire our faith. They lead us to lead good lives. They show us what is important. They give so that we can live. And when they leave this world, we miss them. And so today is a day for us to raise their memories up once more. And we look to the next life where they are already saints. And it's quite a thing, really, to be connected to so many. Connected to so much faith. So many stories. So much divine love. It's very special to feel connected. Connected to so many. Especially in this day and age where alienation and divisiveness are so prevalent in our society. There are so many ways to not feel connected, to feel alone, to feel on your own. But we are connected. We are connected. We are connected to each other. We are connected to those who have influenced us. It's a great web of faith made by the love of God. So who are the saints that you remember? Who are the saints that you remember? Who has helped to shine the light of God just a little bit more in your life? Maybe, as the kids were talking about up here, their parents. Maybe your parents, maybe a childhood Sunday school teacher. Maybe a childhood piano player like Jim talked about. The person who maybe you work with, who has a quiet faith that caused him to shine his day a little bit brighter for all of those around. Maybe it was the person who came to help you when you needed it most, when your life had fallen apart, who helped pick you up and help get you back on your feet. Maybe the one who fought for what was right when everybody else was too scared. These people are all saints. And because of them, we are here today. We remember the little things that they did that inspired faith in us. And remembering them is good. And someday, maybe we will be remembered in that way. Maybe 30 or 40 or 50 years from now, maybe somebody will talk about us or think about us or remember us on this day. And what will they remember about us? They will remember our love. They will remember our love for them. They will remember your friendship. They will remember your generosity. They will remember the ways that you took, that you had when you helped others. They will remember the ways that you concerned yourself more with others, more with giving, rather than holding on to what you had. In the end, there's no clearer indication of God's grace than the work of others. The work that you do that is that shows your willingness to serve others in need and put others' needs before your own wants. That is a true message of God's grace. And we never know exactly what our legacy will be. And we never know how it will bless us. And usually it blesses us in extremely unexpected ways. But we don't have to be perfect either. And that's not what it's all about. About 500 years ago, Martin Luther used the phrase, simultaneously saint and sinner. And Luther was talking about all of us. He was saying that all of us occupy this space of being both. We mess up. We mess up a lot. We sin a lot. We get it wrong a lot. And yet somehow we can still be saints. And I think Martin Luther was right. And if you believe he is right, then you have to give up some of your old assumptions of what saints were like. So many times when we think of saints, we think in terms of utter perfection, like Mother Teresa and other people that have statues and churches named after them. And I'm not saying that some saints aren't like that, but I think that that might be a short-sighted view of sainthood. We can view sainthood a little differently. Saints are not perfect people. Saints instead are simply everyday people who have brought others closer to God. And we're still wrestling it out in that space where Luther called us both saints and sinners. And as hard as sainthood is, sometimes it feels even harder to be both saints and sinners. I read an article that said in the New Testament, when they use the word saint, it doesn't just mean good person or holy person or anything like that. Instead, the original word is hagios, and it isn't even a noun at all. It's an adjective or a description. And what it means is probably the most challenging part of becoming a saint. It means different or set apart. In other words, if you want to get ready to be a saint, then you have to be different. And different is not just okay. It's good. It's good according to the Bible. Being different is what you and I are called to be. And the only thing that's wrong with that is that being different is hard. Being different is hard. You could ask any of my 4th grade students what it means to be different. And they'll tell you that it's not such a great thing to be. In fact, we spend so much of our life trying not to be different and trying not to stand out. Being set apart is not something that makes most of us feel good. Instead, it's something that terrifies us. We do everything that we can to fit in, to be like others, to blend in. And yet, being different is exactly what God asks of us. God asks us to live our lives in a way that often goes against what's easy, goes against what's accepted, goes against what is well understood. We are called on to constantly choose right over the easy, or good over the unpopular, and meaningful over the meaningless. In short, we are being called not to just be different, but to voluntarily set our lives apart. And that's not easy. But that is exactly why the saints in our lives stand out. Because it isn't easy. And because they were different. They made a difference to us. But those differences also draw us closer to God. Remember the Sermon on the Mount? When Jesus described all those who were blessed, they were different. The poor, the mourning, the meek, the hungry for justice, the merciful, the pure, the peacemakers, the persecuted. In other words, the different. The ones who choose another way. The ones who, for all of their imperfections, just might become saints after all. So who in your life is no longer with us, but taught you that maybe being different wasn't just okay, but it was the way to being blessed? Who lived their life in a way that taught you that God was with you and that you were blessed. Who built something in their lives that remains as a blessing to you still to this day. And we all have those people. And on All Saints Sunday, they deserve to be lifted up, to be remembered, to be emulated. So today, let us remember all the deeply faithful and flawed saints of God's church. The saints who the glory of God has been revealed and is being revealed through you. Let's remember people like Mary Magdalene or Peter the fisherman and his disciples, who were deeply flawed individuals. Let's remember Paul, who spent his early life as a sinner and then chose something different. Let's remember St. Francis and Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King Jr. and people willing to make a difference. And let's remember the saints in our own lives. Maybe they won't have a church named after them, or maybe they won't have a federal holiday, but they brought us closer to God. Today, let us thank God. Let us thank God for gathering so many into the church. The great church community that we are all a part of. All of those saints who shine a light on our path. And in a few moments, we'll be taking communion. And one of the things that is most incredible to me about communion is that it binds us not only with God, but to one another. The communion of saints. And when we sit at the Lord's table, we sit there not just with each other, but with the believers of all times and all places who are now saints. They are with us. The saints that we have known in our past. And I hope, and I know, that those that we loved and that we remember, they know how much they meant to us. Maybe they know that even when we are not perfect, they know that we are trying. And we ask that they forgive our mistakes and remember more our love, remember more our effort, and our kindness, and our light. And may they join us at this moment when we celebrate communion. But as we take communion today, I want you to take a moment and remember those saints in your lives. And I want you to picture them joining with you as we take our communion today. And give thanks for those that have brought us closer